Most people use their phones all day without thinking about the glass in their hands, until it slips and hits the ground. Somehow this thin layer survives scratches, taps, heat, and daily wear, yet it can still crack from a single unlucky fall. So what actually makes smartphone glass so tough? Why doesn't it break easily? And how did it evolve from something fragile into one of the most important parts of modern technology? The answer lies in chemistry, pressure, and clever engineering that turns ordinary glass into something far stronger than it looks. Today we're breaking it down right here on History of Simple Things. At its core, glass is not built to survive much stress. It may look smooth and solid, but on a microscopic level, it's full of tiny flaws and imperfections. These weak points are invisible to the eye, but they matter a lot when force is applied. When pressure hits ordinary glass, those small cracks begin to spread quickly. Instead of bending, the material transfers energy through itself until it suddenly fractures. That's why traditional glass shatters so easily. It doesn't absorb impact well. It simply passes the force along until it breaks. Early phone screens struggled with this problem. Plastic was safer against drops, but it scratched too easily. Glass looked better and felt smoother, but it needed to be improved before it could survive everyday use. Modern smartphone glass is not the same as window glass. It is specially engineered to be much stronger through a process called chemical strengthening. A well-known example is Corning Gorilla Glass, used in many smartphones today. In this process, the glass is placed in a bath of molten salt at high temperature. Inside the glass, tiny sodium ions are replaced by larger potassium ions. This swap may sound simple, but it creates a powerful effect. Because the larger ions take up more space, they squeeze tightly into the surface of the glass, creating a layer of compression. That compressed surface becomes much harder for cracks to spread through. Instead of easily opening up, cracks are constantly pushed shut by internal pressure. The idea of compression is key to understanding why smartphone glass works. Cracks grow best when a material is under tension, when it is being pulled apart. But chemically strengthened glass keeps its outer layer under compression instead. That means even if a small scratch forms, it struggles to expand because the material is pushing back against it. You can think of it like trying to open a tightly squeezed spring. The more it's compressed, the harder it is for anything to break through. However, if enough force breaks past that outer layer, the internal stress can release suddenly, which is when full shattering happens. One common misunderstanding is that stronger glass means scratch-proof glass. In reality, hardness and toughness are different things. Hardness refers to how well a material resists scratches. Toughness refers to how well it resists breaking. Smartphone glass is carefully designed to balance both. If it is made too hard, it can become brittle. If it is too flexible, it scratches too easily. That's why manufacturers constantly adjust formulas and treatments to find the right balance between durability and clarity. Most smartphone screens are made from aluminosilicate glass, which combines silicon, oxygen, and aluminum. Silicon forms the base structure, while aluminum strengthens the network of atoms. Together, they create a clear but stable material that can withstand chemical strengthening. Different manufacturers adjust the formula depending on their goals. Some prioritize drop resistance while others focus on scratch protection. but all modern versions rely on carefully controlled atomic structures that make the glass both thin and strong. Not all drops are equal, and that's why some phones survive falls while others don't. The outcome depends on factors like height, angle, and surface. A flat landing spreads impact energy, while a corner impact concentrates force into a small point. Concrete is especially dangerous because it doesn't absorb shock. Instead, it sends almost all the energy straight into the glass. Even tiny imperfections inside the screen can decide whether it survives or shatters. One hidden flaw is enough to become the starting point of a crack. That's why identical phones can behave very differently during accidents. Curved displays look modern and stylish, but they come with extra challenges. Because of their shape, curved glass distributes force unevenly. Edges and corners become stress points where cracks are more likely to form. Flat screens are generally more resistant because they spread impact more evenly across the surface. Manufacturers try to solve this with reinforced frames and improved glass structures, but physics still plays a major role in how damage spreads. Screen protectors are often underestimated, but they serve an important purpose. Tempered glass protectors are designed to absorb impact before it reaches the actual screen. When they break, they take the damage instead of the phone's display. This works similarly to how helmets protect by absorbing force during impact. Even simple plastic protectors can help reduce scratches caused by dust, sand, or metal particles. In many cases, the protector is meant to fail so the real screen doesn't have to. Smartphone glass continues to evolve as technology improves. Researchers are experimenting with materials that are more flexible, more scratch-resistant, and even self-healing. Foldable phones, for example, require ultra-thin glass that can bend without breaking. There are also developments in ceramic-infused glass and hybrid materials that aim to improve durability without losing clarity. However, creating a completely unbreakable glass remains extremely difficult because the same properties that make glass strong also make it fragile in certain conditions. Smartphone glass may look simple, but it is actually the result of decades of scientific innovation. Every screen is carefully engineered to balance strength, clarity, and flexibility in a way that allows it to survive daily life. And while it will never be completely indestructible, modern glass is far tougher than it appears. So the next time your phone survives a drop, or doesn't, you'll know there's a lot more happening inside that thin layer than meets the eye. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.